Shout out to everybody. So it looks like Trinnov is going to have an altitude CI. Let's get into that. So I'm going to Cydia, and so I want to see what this thing looks like in person. I think it's going to be a thinner device. So basically what this thing is supposed to do is control everything off of IP, so that you're going to have a custom integrator to come in there, set things up. And it seems like you can have as many channels as you want, as you desire, up to 64 channels. We're starting out scalable up to 32 channels. And but in order to get the channels unlocked, I think it's like a licensing thing or something like that. So but some people are saying that they want processors and receivers with lower channel counts, which is interesting. So to be able to get what you want, I think Trinnov is adding a lot of flexibility in the altitude CI, and I think this thing is gonna work in kind of tandem with dealers, right? Because a lot of dealers want to sell you on things that you're going to need custom integrators to come in and do, and that's going to be more money in their pockets. And I feel like this is another product that's going to feed the dealers, so which is in effect going to help Trinnov sell more products, because if you have dealers who are going to get access more to your wallet, because they got to come in, they got to set this thing up. If you want more channel counts, you got to get the license, and you're going to have them come in, and set things up, further. They're going to have more of an extension into your wallet, not just control for things like that. They're going to be able to do this, so I would think a lot of dealers would try to push this product. For consumers, people like me that like to set things up on your own, I don't think this is going to be ideal, but it does have some features that's kind of interesting. But we're gonna get into it. It says Trinnov unveils altitude CI scalable audio over IP for every project. It says with dual native AES 67 and Dante support 8 to 32 channels and exclusive Trinnov technology, altitude CI has the flexibility for any premium audio application. So the cool thing about this is if you only want 8 channels, some people say they don't want 13 channels or 15 channels. They may not have the room, they don't have the space, and some people just don't want to pay for excessive channels that they're not going to use, so this could be a product to meet their expectations, so this is very, very interesting. Then later on, if they want to expand their theater, they can, call their dealer or whatever and do whatever license and have them come in and set up more things. And it seems like the audio is going to be controlled via, I guess, IP Ethernet. It'll be using Ethernet and all of that. And so you're not going to have the traditional outputs or whatever in the back. I'm guessing, I don't know, because it says using Dante AE67. So I don't know. Let's read more into it. It says Paris, France, and East Hampton, Connecticut, USA, August 26, 2025. Trinnov Audio today announces the release of Altitude CI, a fully networked audio over IP processor designed specifically for the custom integration CI market. Scalable, flexible, and compact Altitude delivers premium immersive audio for projects ranging from high-end media rooms to DCI grade private cinemas. Interesting. This is just like more marketing right here in the middle. We're not about to read that. Altitude CI makes Trinnov performance available for more blah blah blah. Altitude CI is the first processor in its class to offer native support for both Dante and Ravina, and AE67 offering seamless compatibility across consumers and professional audio infrastructures. The best of both worlds architecture enables direct integration with Dolby Atmos and DCI service via AE67 while managing output through Dante without the need for external converters. Okay. All right. So the cool thing about this thing, right? Like if you own Trinnov or if you are in business, one of the partners of Trinnov, like the owners, you don't have to have a lot of hardware. So this thing is going to be able to, this is very high tech to control everything via IP, in this Dante situation. Like this is very, very interesting, so I don't know, shout out to them for at least pushing the boundaries of trying to bring something new to the home theater market. I think that's very interesting. We'll see what cost is a little bit later. I will be going to Cydia, and I think they're going to end up announcing what the pricing scheme is going to be for it in Cydia, right? So it says Altitude CI brings Trinnov's renowned performance within each for a wider range of premium installations than ever before. It introduced a modular licensing model that allows integrators to specify channel count in 2-channel increments. Okay, so if you want 7 channels, you're gonna have to get 8 channels. You gotta buy 8 channels. If you want 9 channels, you gotta buy 10 channels in 2-channel increments. Okay, so all right. It says Altitude CI is available in configuration from 8 to 32 channels. That's impressive, right? If you got that little box giving you the ability, because anybody has seen the Altitude 32, that thing is massive. You know, so you can have this small little like box sit in your rack, and to have upwards of 32 channels is insane. You know, so this is really kind of a game changer if you really look at it. It says with a custom 64-channel version arriving in 2026, upgrades can be activated remotely via Trinnov's extranet, maximizing long-term flexibility. That's interesting. Exclusive acoustic technology. Altitude CI includes Trinnov's full suite of proprietary active acoustic technologies, including optimizer, 3D room, and speaker correction system that precisely calibrates phase, EQ, level, and delay. Waveforming, Trinnov's groundbreaking low-frequency optimizer tool that actively eliminates room nodes for impactful bass and unprecedented seat-to-seat consistency. One thing about waveforming that I did experience is seat-to-seat consistency with bass. Now, if you go into the waveforming thinking like every subwoofer is going to be active to the point to where they're outputting a lot of bass, it's not really what it does. It kind of like it uses some subwoofers to absorb bass and then some subwoofers to, you know, push out bass, and it kind of just controls everything like in the sweep. You know, one thing that it did not really control, like with waveforming, is you can still hear drywall kind of breaking up and stuff like that, you know, and a lot of room correction softwares seem to, you know, dial things into where that doesn't happen. But with waveforming, you still get that, you know, but you do get pretty good seat-to-seat distribution of bass. You know, I will say that. It has the remapping. So this Altitude CI is going to have remapping. Ensures accurate immersive format rendering even in acoustically or architecturally compromised rooms. Basically what that is if, let's just say your speakers are not placed where they should be because you don't have the room, you know, maybe your space is just weird, you know, you can't do it. It creates phantom speakers, you know, to fill in the gaps of where speakers should be to give you more of an immersive bubble. Now, the thing is with the Altitude CI, let's just say you have an 8-channel system. Is it going to give you phantom imaging, you know, to like if you had like a 13-channel system? Is it going to do that, or is it going to stick to an 18-channel system? And just, you know, I don't know. Like that's something that maybe I'm going to have to ask them at Cydia, you know, if it's going to do that. Because if you only pay for 8 channels or 6 channels or 5 channels, you got to get 6, you know, is the remapping really going to be effective in that situation? You know what I'm saying? Or do you have to pay for the more channel counts? It says these technologies are delivered via Trinnov's exclusive software-based platform with 64-bit floating point processing, powerful architecture that enables exceptional audio fidelity and future-ready expansion potential. This is my problem, guys. The big issue that I have with Trinnov, I've heard about 4 of them, right? 4 Altitude 32s I've heard. And with each one of them, like I'm hearing like audio dropout issues. So when you start a movie or you start a song, there's like a 5 to 8 second delay before the audio kicks in. So a lot of times, like let's just say you jump a chapter, you know, there's like a big delay before the audio kicks in, or audio dropout. There's no audio. You'll see the video, but no audio. Then the audio finally catches up. That is a problem Like each time I've listened, I've asked them like, hey, what is the issue with this? And they say, oh, well, you know, Trinnov, we use a computer. We don't just use like chips like regular people's, you know, regular manufacturers. So, you know, it takes time for the computer to catch up to what's going on. I talked to Shane Lee. He's got a channel. He's got 100-some thousand subscribers. Shout out to Shane Lee. Shane Lee, catch up. My other channel got 130,000. Shout out to you though. But he said, Shane Lee was telling me that they told him from Trinnov that the only way to fix that audio dropout issue is to build the altitude from the ground up again, and to completely to get rid of it. They would have to build the platform again from the ground up. So I'm wondering, because they're doing it this way using Dante, and you know, everything's going to be over IP, you know, and network and stuff like that. Can they fix that issue? Or are you still going to have these big major audio dropout issues? That is something that I feel like people need to ask Trinnov, and I'm going to ask them that when I go to Cydia this week. It also said those technologies are delivered via Trinnov exclusive, 64-bit, because it's still using the 64-bit floating point processing. So that's what makes me curious about it. It says rack efficient design and simplified setup. Altitude CI is built with installers in mind. The streamlined 2RU chassis includes 8 analog outputs, ideal for active subwoofers or waveforming applications, or 7.1 systems. HDMI support 4 in to out ensures compatibility with matrix-based video systems. Altitude CI does have those outputs. Okay. It says Altitude CI also has 3 independent configurable Ethernet ports, including 2 with SFP cages, supporting robust network architecture with separated or redundant controls, audio and service traffic. So that's interesting. Where are they? Okay. Let's see, right here. Okay. This is okay, interesting. What else does it say? It says system setup has been streamlined as well. The newly designed Altitude user interface features a guided calibration workflow, making Trinnov's powerful tuning tools more user-friendly while preserving expert level control. And that is one issue that people do have with the Trinnov, right? Is that it's not user-friendly at all. Some people, like, when you get the Trinnov, you got to keep calling them to ask them how to do certain things. And even Techthusiasm, you know, he's got a YouTube channel, Home Theater. He said that he had an issue with this thing. The Altitude 32, I think he had. And he was saying it was just difficult to calibrate and figure out, you know. And people ask him, like, you know, what's your, you know, how do you feel that the Trinnov sounded? He's always like, well, I don't know if I even had it hooked up right, you know, or calibrated correctly, you know. So it's because it was so much that went into it, like, and he wants to get another system so he can maybe do it again, you know. And I feel like one thing that you have to do in home theater is make these processors user friendly. You know, if not, you know, what's the point really? And, you know, a lot of us like to tweak, but you want to be able to do it, you know, and know what you're doing. Unlike the Altitude 16 and 32, it can be convoluted, you know, and I've watched people try to do it, and it seems like a lot. Power couple Altitude CI and Amplitude 16 with Dante. So basically the amplifier is going to be able to work with it. It says to complete the AOIP ecosystem, Trinnov now offers an optional Dante input board for the award-winning Amplitude 16 multi-channel amplifier. This addition enables end-to-end AOIP signal flow from processor to amplifier. The input board uses the same high-performance DAX architecture as the Amplitude line, preserving signal integrity and achieving exceptional dynamic range. I don't really care about this thing because this is crazy expensive. I don't care about it. But if you want to have Trinnov's amplifier and you want to have this, you know, obviously they're going to make it work together. It says discover the Altitude CI at Cydia Expo. I will be there. Trinnov will debut the Altitude CI at Cydia Expo 2025 in Denver, Colorado, September 4th through 6th. I'll be there. Attendees are invited to experience the Altitude CI at the Trinnov High Performance Audio Room with live demos, full system tours, and one-on-one partner consultation. Trinnov will also offer a free training session on Altitude CI on September 3rd. Seating is limited to 50 participants. So, you know, if you're a dealer or whatever, you want to get trained on it, you can do that. But you know what I want to see when I go there? I want to see if they're going to use a kaleidoscope. Because, you know, a kaleidoscope, I got a kaleidoscope. You can run scripts. And so, you know, to run through demos real quick, various different movies. I wonder if they're going to do that, or if they're going to have a 4K player, you know, or, you know, like a Zydu or a Doom player hooked up. I'm curious, because if they have a Blu-ray player hooked up to this thing, they're trying to hide the audio dropout issues. That's what I'm going to be thinking. If they have a kaleidoscope there and they can run through a script and you don't see any audio lag or, you know, any audio dropout issues, I think that would be a great improvement. Now, for pricing, obviously they didn't put that out there yet, but, you know, I would expect if you were to spec this thing up to 16 channels, it's probably going to be close to the Altitude 16 in price. It's probably $19,000 something, you know what I mean? So we'll see what they end up doing. You know, they said this is going to be competitively priced, but in Trinnov's mind, who knows what that means, right? You know, but I mean, if they are going to be adding like waveforming and channel remapping, like I said, I'm gonna ask them if you have to have more channels in order for it to phantom do like the other channels, or if it can just, you know, say you run at 8 channels, can it like simulate you having 13 channels? I'm curious on whether or not it can do that. But to be able to have channel remapping is good. That's a very, very good positive, right? And then it's also going to have waveforming. Some people love waveforming. I was impressed with the seat-to-seat distribution of the response, you know, but, you know, mainly in your home theater, this is going to be you, really. Who cares about it? You may have friends and people over, but a lot of people aren't really going to care, you know, so a lot of us just tailor things to the sweet spot anyway. But to be able to have waveforming is cool, you know, so we'll see how this thing ends up working out, and if people end up liking it and how much it's going to cost. Now, Trinnov, if y'all trying to, like, you know, the cool thing is that this is scalable. Right? So let's just say you get into it for $7,500, right? Like an Anthem AVM 90, I got one of them. That's like $7,500. I got mine for $5,900, but $7,500, right? The thing about it, an Anthem, once they come out with the AVM 100, which I think they're coming out with it in two years. If they come out with the AVM 100, you got to sell the AVM 90 if you don't like it, get something else. Or if you just want to stay current, you got to sell your processors, you know, or receivers and get a new one. Where this is just like, you know, you just call your integrator and say, hey, I want more channels. You know, can you do this? And then they can just come in and do whatever you need. You know, so that is the beauty about like this Altitude CI, right? And one thing that I do like about Storm Audio is that it's modular. You know, like you can add to it. You don't have to just buy a whole new unit. Or the Altitude 16, you can add to it. You can just change out the DACs and things like that. You don't have to buy a whole new Altitude. You know what I mean? And if you really think about it, from like, you know, I've had like a Marantz Cinema 50. I got a Denon 3800H. I've got a MRX 1140 Anthem. I've got an Anthem AVM 90. I've got an Onkyo RZ50. I had a Yamaha A2A. I had a lot of different processors and receivers, right? A different processor and a bunch of receivers. If I would have just saved all of that money and just bought like an Altitude 16, you know, I could have probably just still have an Altitude 16 and I have to go through so many products, you know what I mean? But with the price is still kind of crazy out, you know, Trinnov, your pricing is insane. But obviously they're looking for people who are willing to give up that bag, you know, that money, you know. But like I said, very, very good technology. We'll see how it ends up. But I mean, if you're trying to charge like $8,000, $9,000 for $10,000 for 8 channels, I think you guys are crazy. You know, you might just be better off getting like a JBL synthesis or something like that. You know what I mean? But if it's competitively priced, like if they do like maybe 13 channels, right, for 7,000, I'm not gonna be mad, or 8,000. I'm not gonna be mad because it's a Trinnov, right? And it can do a lot more calibration wise. So you know, they do warrant a markup because of the abilities that the processor can do, right? So, you know, I won't be too strict on them with that. But if you still have audio dropout issues and you're trying to charge crazy amounts of money, I ain't with it. You know what I'm saying? I'm not controlled by anybody. I just tell y'all what it is on my channel. But y'all tell me what y'all think down in the comment section below. Are y'all going to Cydia or not? Let me know down in the comment section. Is this a product that you're looking for? Or is this a little bit too much in terms of calling in integrators and dealers? Y'all let me know. I'm out, y'all. Peace.